And we're recording.
Okay.
So, okay, I'm David Webb, and I'm here with Jerry Condo, and I'm going to let you do most of the talking, but I want to do a brief kind of intro and how we got here. So, let's start with your professional background. What was the last job you did?
Was a Worcester police officer.
Okay. When did that stop?
That stopped
Roughly.
December 2018.
Okay. And how long were you on, or when did you start?
I started in 2004, and it was a total of 14 years.
Okay, 14 years. Wow. Okay. So, what did you do before that?
I was in the military, and also a cable installer at one point, but my military background, I did 23 years of military service and 3 tours overseas.
Oh, wow. What countries? And this, I have no framework, but I know that's something people...
The countries that I served in was the country of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, 2 places in Afghanistan, and Abu Dhabi, which is right next door to Dubai.
To be completely honest, I'd have to actually look up how to spell some of those. Fair enough. Okay, so... Okay, I mean, that's going to, of course, be extremely relevant later if, like, PTSD wasn't as much of an issue then, and then, but the...
Well, it was ongoing, and that, believe it or not, was one of the reasons why I left work, because I was having a lot of problems at work with, depression, anxiety. I was doing a lot of drinking, and it wasn't fun. I didn't like myself. So, believe it or not, in my view, to get better was to get away from there and actually go to Afghanistan. Only people in the military would understand why somebody like myself would do that, because, put yourself in harm's way, but that's what we do, I mean, when you're in the military, being a police officer, it's in our criteria that's what we do. We know how to take care of people better than we know how to take care of ourselves.
Okay, so the self-care wasn't really great, but when you have a purpose and a focus, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head by saying it like that. That's it was like I had purpose. Not that I didn't have purpose with the city people, but it was just things that I was having more problems with on the inside than I was on the outside, I guess, if I could say that. No,
so it's fascinating you say that, because the way what you're describing. Obviously, this is probably comical, but like I would come out of jail a much better person, because not having to figure out anything, just everything being told what to do. You're going to do this, you're going to do this. This happens at this time. This
everything's in order. It's categorized. Yeah.
There's a level of not having to think about it. I don't have to have self-discipline in that situation. The concept feels conceptually freeing, which obviously is not true in application, but you said in and out, and you're describing a being inside an environment that is extremely encapsulated.
Yes.
So you left the Worcester Police Department to go back to the military?
Well, I didn't leave per se. I went on leave. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't quit. I just needed to get away from things, and I went to back. Well, not back in the military. I was always in the Guard. And I went to Afghanistan. I put in for a 6-month tour, and that's when I went away.
Okay, cool. But I guess most of what I'm saying is so you start. I'm trying to establish where the Worcester Police Department is in your service in the military. Did you start in the military and then join the police?
Oh yes. I was in the military when I joined.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
So they overlapped.
Yeah, they overlapped, yes.
Oh, okay, got it.
But I was still in the Air National Guard while I was a police officer, so my weekend drills would come up, and I would have to go to my weekend drills, because I stayed in.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So you'd have to leave for a set period of time, and pretty much because you let them know in advance, they'd just schedule around that?
Yeah, yes.
That makes a ton of sense, and I'm assuming there's actually a lot of people who do that.
Yes.
That makes sense. Okay. Okay, so leading up to this, I know you had a interview on not what's happening in Worcester. The
Mass Live? Are you thinking about my article?
I thought there was one on. Is it WCRN? Or the letters that are coming? The one hosted at the diner. I don't know, on the radio in the morning. It was in.
Oh yeah, I had an interview on the radio. Yeah, that was the Worcester station. Was it WSRS or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so
yeah, it was Channel 830 is what it was, AM.
I looked it up. I haven't actually. So the problem, I looked it up. I found where I could watch it listen to it online, but it's 3 hours, and I don't know where your segment is in that. So
My segment's first thing in the morning.
Oh, okay.
It started at like 7:15.
Yeah, but their thing starts at 6. But anyways, I'll check in at an hour and 15 in.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, that's good to know. I guess where I'm going with this is, so you are you currently you're no longer employed by the Worcester Police
No, I'm
Department?
100% disabled with the military at this point in time.
Okay, but that's through the military.
That's
not...
through the military, not the police.
Okay.
And that was that's the major issue while we're talking today is because of how I was not treated, basically.
Okay, so elaborate on that.
Well, I got in trouble at work with some alcohol issues, and wasn't totally sure on why I was drinking as much as I was, and then they put me on admin leave, and then I ended up getting a hold of the VA, and they ended up going through a few tests and stuff, what have you, and questionnaires, and come to find out that I had PTSD. I was in denial because it's not easy for us we feel like it could be a weakness, but I had to come to terms with the PTSD, and I really wasn't happy at first, and I'm still not happy about it, but they ended up convincing me that I did have PTSD, and then they gave me some medication for my anxiety and my depression. And I noticed a big difference in myself after that. Like less drinking, I wasn't drinking as much. I was actually in good spirits. And while I was on admin leave, I actually went into a program because I found out in July of 2018 that I had it, and nothing was happening. Nobody was doing anything for me. So I ended up putting myself in my own program with the VA up in Leeds, Mass, and that started in November. And then it ended in December, like December 10th, I think it was, and they fired me the next day because I didn't tell them where I was. But they did know they knew, one of the guys, which was our counselor, knew where I was. So I don't know how I got fired for that. And they said, the city said that they would have taken care of me and helped me if they knew I had it. But they knew I had it in July. Why did you fire me in December if you knew I had PTSD?
So they're claiming they didn't know you had it, and they would have been supportive.
They would have been supportive if they knew, yes, but
Okay.
They did know from the union.
So your union knew. Okay.
Yeah, the union knew because I told them as soon as I found out.
Okay. So the union knew, but the police are saying they didn't.
Not the police, the city.
The city.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, the city. I've never this. Could you elaborate?
I know it's confusing. Trust me.
But that's why because I know that the union. I recently found out that body cameras were docked because of an email from the union. So I don't really understand. My framework on this is I have worked for the United States Postal Service for a month.
Yeah.
And literally I was fired on my 31st day because I called out sick on my 30th. But where I'm going with this is I have no actual framework on unions versus whatever, and then when the city's involved, it's a whole. So can you elaborate on city, when you're saying the city told you things, not what part of the city, but what role did the city have in this communication with you?
They were the ones that actually they're the ones that put you on admin leave, for wrongdoings or what have you, and they put you on this 10-year note if you go back to work, which is kind of bogus, and then they put you on admin leave with pay, but then if you go back to work, you got to work for free to pay those admin days back, which I think is illegal. But that's what they do. I don't think it's even in our contract, but at any rate.
So you're not. So when you say the city, it's not the Worcester Police Department.
No, when I say the city, it's the city. If I say Worcester Police Department, it's the Worcester Police Department. But
okay.
the
so
union.
You're an employee of the city.
I was an employee of the city, yes, which
Fascinating.
makes me a Worcester police officer.
Oh, okay. So, got it. So, so this is the same as a inspectional service person works for. They don't work for the inspectional services department. They work for the city of Worcester.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I've always kind of thought of it as an entirely separate. That makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
no. That's basically I am working for the city, but as a police officer.
Yeah, but so your HR is still Worcester.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so that's probably part of the common misconception here is that Worcester Police Department handles its stuff. If there's a series of hiring practices, it is not necessarily with the Worcester Police Department.
Well, it is and it isn't, but they're like the more so like, all right, we'll take this guy. Let's see if the city takes this guy. You know what I mean? Like if that during the hirings.
So the WPD kind of picks people.
They pick the people, and the city can either say yay or nay.
Okay.
So they're like the overall.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, that makes some level of sense. Okay, got it. So the city. Okay, so the city the city fired you the day you came back?
No, I was in the program. I didn't even come back at that time. They just fired me, and I didn't even have a chance to come back. And
so I guess, did you contact them when you got out of the program?
I contacted the union, yeah. That's who I contacted.
Interesting. So you contacted the same people after you got out that you had contacted before you got out.
Right, but then I found out that I was fired. So right after the program, literally like it was either the day before or the day after the program. It was like they were waiting for me to graduate from the...
Yeah, they didn't want to do it while you were in there.
Yeah, right, because they didn't want to make it look like they were picking on somebody in the military.
Your termination, did you get termination paperwork?
Yes.
Did it, and the date aligned with when you were told?
I really wasn't told, but I got the paperwork, and then...
Mostly what I'm saying is that the date on the paperwork is the day after you got out.
Yeah.
Or the day okay, cool. So then that's 100% clear cut.
Yeah.
Okay. So I could be wrong, but it sounds like the union failed to represent you.
There's a lot of failures of what had happened to me.
So let's elaborate on those, not at the end, but kind of in the middle. So I guess first and foremost I should address, do you think your PTSD, and you might not know the answer, it's especially, well, I mean, you've been processing it for, 2018 is a while at this point.
Yeah.
But what I'm asking was, do you know or have you thought about whether or not it's more from military or police department?
It's both. It's both. Because there are things that I've seen that, a guy hanging from a rafter. I mean, I still got these images in my head. A guy got squashed on the highway. I went assist for that. Every time I go down 290 in that same area, I get flashbacks from it, and I have some other things that I go through, like I have dreams that drive me crazy because I have dreams about work where I'm trying to back up my buddy and the gun's jammed and I can't shoot, or I can shoot only one round and nothing else comes out. So I mean, I have a multitude of dreams.
Yeah, those are not from overseas.
No. And the only time, like when I get flashbacks from overseas, are like from shop noises, like quick noises that I'm not ready for. If I'm ready for them, like fireworks, they don't really bother me. But if I'm not ready for them, and like somebody like would light off a firecracker or something, it goes right up my spine. My girlfriend popping gum, that goes up my spine. And she doesn't mean to harm me. It's just it happens, And those are the kind of flashbacks I get. Sometimes I have dreams about there, but a lot of dreams that I have are from work.
Yep. And
it's not even things that I've like actually gone through other than what I've seen. But like I said, the gun jamming, I can't find my gun. I lost my gun.
The fears that you have from being in those life or death situations all the time.
Yeah.
So obviously they were extremely unsupportive if they fired you at the end based on it. But effectively, what throughout did you try to address any of this? Did you talk to anyone in the Worcester Police Department about, or the city?
Oh, multitude of times, yes.
About your dreams and the other issues?
Yes.
Okay. And so how did they handle it when you came to them with PTSD symptoms?
Just supported me, like our on-site counselor. He's been great to me. My buddy, he's like a buddy to me. He's a really great guy. He tried as best he could to try to get me my disability with work, but they're saying the statutory limits. I didn't know that I could go. I got wrongfully terminated, and I tried going to a lawyer. I didn't have enough for a retainer, so I couldn't do that.
Yep.
And then I tried another lawyer through the years, and it ended up lapsing to, it's been past 3 years now, so they're saying that's statutory limits. But in my eyes, there's no statutory limits on PTSD. Why are there statutory limits on the fact that it's been over 3 years? It just doesn't make sense to me.
No, that's 100%, especially like it could take you more than 3 years to figure out that there's PTSD.
Right.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean, even when they told me, like, I wasn't able to get my medication straight until like years after, and things don't just click in and say, hey, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. It's just you're trying to process your own problems and your own issues, and then here they are, they're throwing me to the wolves, and they're sitting back pretty.
yes.
And I'm not the only guy. Trust me.
No, I know that.
I'm not the only guy that's been, that has done something wrong. You know what I mean? And these guys still got jobs, because they're either related to somebody that's on the job or related to somebody in the city, and that just isn't fair. I just don't understand it. I just, and it's sad because I love this city, and when I became a police officer, I thought I was something special, and it ended up becoming my worst nightmare, and it's terrible that I feel that way, because I always thought the best of the Worcester Police Department. I had friends that were on before I got on. I had tons of friends that were on before I got on. Then all of a sudden, things just started changing.
What was the first change you think you noticed?
Oh, when I got injured. I got injured in the Human Resources Division that's here in City Hall. I hurt my shoulder, and I just went to the hospital real quick to get it checked because I felt a click on my shoulder, and I had a lot of pain in my neck.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to get up in the morning, I went to go grab a cup out of the cupboard and out of the cabinet, and my arm, my shoulder clicked, and that didn't feel right. So then I put in for it, and then Human Resources Division was rude as could be. The woman, not the whole Human Resources Division, the woman. She was, I won't say her last name, but her name is Kathy, and everybody knows who she is. And she gave me a hard time saying, well, why are you doing this now? I said, it's been within 24 hours. I go, I didn't know that my shoulder was going to click the next day, and then all hell broke loose after that, and she tried getting me fired, and all sorts of stuff went wrong there. I couldn't believe how I was being treated. Here I am supposed to be home trying to get well, and she's giving me a hard time. Then she wrote up an appointment. She wrote up an appointment for me to go see a doctor, but all she gave me was a doctor's name and an address. I didn't get a suite number or a phone number. So I went to this building where this guy was supposed to be in an office, and I asked around for the guy, and they said there's nobody by that name here. And so I missed my appointment. It was late. Well, it wasn't late. They were closed. But I did leave a message to say, hey, I tried going to this appointment. I don't know what's going on, but there's no doctor by that name here. Well, she ended up getting me in trouble. She went to my captain and caused a ruckus for nothing, when I would have went to the appointment the next day. So then I got my new appointment with the doctor's name, an address, a suite number, and a phone number. She set me up.
Yeah.
I know she did. She set me up. She even during an in-service training, she even said that she didn't like us. She thought we were all liars.
Okay, so someone in Worcester HR. So
yeah.
How did you hurt your shoulder?
We had to take a guy down.
Okay.
And I had him by one end, and my other buddy had him by the other. And the guy was way heavier than us. And when those two went down, I was still holding on, and that's when my neck and my shoulder, my head and my shoulder slammed into the wall.
Yep. Yeah. No. And for what it's worth, that's such a legitimate response. Like, you wake up and you're in neck pain is, especially tied to motion. That is concerning shit.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So that's when I noticed a lot of issues happening with me. I was calling in sick a lot after that. I started drinking. I was having major anxiety, thinking I was going to lose my job every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the woman put me through hell. That was when it started. That's when I felt that it started.
Yeah. So then, now that you had anxiety, it was causing other issues that everyone else was then picking up on and picking apart.
Right.
Do you know what year that was?
Oh, that happened, I want to say possibly 2014. Wait. 14? No, it was 2012. It might have been. It was a while ago.
Okay. And so a few years after that, you went in back. You never left the military, but you deployed again.
Yeah, I deployed in 2014.
Okay.
That's why that date's in my head. I got hurt. I want to say it was 2010, 2012.
Mm-hmm. So and so I guess this might be a weird question, but how did you sleep when you were away?
Oh, horrible! I always slept horrible.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like I always it was terrible sleep.
Yeah, nightmares.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's a you said there was a counselor with the Worcester Police Department. How actually supportive were they? Like,
well,
like
I mean, John's been more. I think John has been more supportive after the fact than on site, if you know what I mean. Like, not that he's a bad guy. I would never have anything bad to say about him, but like, I was having trouble with one of my lieutenants that was mistreating me, and all I was told was just ignore him. You know, how do you ignore a guy that you're working with that, you know, but like, it just seemed like nobody wanted to do anything about it. You know,
yeah.
It was just wrong. It was just completely wrong.
So, did you, while you were working for them, address the lack of the inconsistency, but also the lack of oversight? Like, did you talk to someone official about your lieutenant mistreating you?
No, I couldn't, because it would have affected the other guys that I was working with downstairs.
So,
because basically what it was there's an incentive that was given to us where if it's your last night, you know, if we got more than enough people to work, you get to go home early. Well, he took that away from me, and he was giving it to everybody else. So that was extremely stressful. So I couldn't say anything, because if I did, it would be taken out on them too. So they wouldn't have their last night. So I had to sit there and take it.
So the ideology from that, if I complain about my mistreatment, my peers will be mistreated.
Yes,
is absolutely a way they maintain and perpetuate some of those issues.
Well, that's what was what was happening. You know, I was being mistreated, and I told them, I said, I'm going to tell the captain. I go, no, don't, Jerry, because if you do, it's going to affect all of us. And so I had to sit there and take it.
So your coworkers also encouraged you to stay quiet about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they were all great guys. I loved the guys, my coworkers. They were the greatest guys. I mean, I loved them all. They were all good guys.
Yeah, but the system makes it.
I mean, yeah, right. They make you kind of turn on each other sometimes too. You know. Because I was mad at them, but I'm like, I don't have a right to be mad at them, because this is a personal vendetta out against me. So I didn't want to have it taken out on them, because I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of guy, you know.
Yeah, you joined the force to protect people, not to negatively impact your coworkers.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, no, they're preying on the fact that you care, and even if you want to stand up for yourself, you won't, because it'll negatively impact people around you.
Yeah, sorry, correct.
That unfortunately makes a ton of sense. So prior to checking yourself in, were there any specific events within the Worcester Police Department?
Can you elaborate?
Sure. Well, I mean, were there like final events? I mean, I guess it's worth asking. Do you check yourself in for alcohol issues or mental health? Which obviously it's the same, but yeah. Mostly what I'm trying to say is, like, were there like triggering events, or things just deteriorated?
I think things just like deteriorated, and then there would be trigger effects. But more so, it was like my everything was just, I was going to nothing. I was just there. You know what I mean? There were days that I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be like, why am I drinking right now? Or I'd be like, you know, why can't I sleep? You know, and it just, my nerves were shot. I'd wake up shaking. I'd wake up in cold sweats from time to time. And it still happens. It still happens to this day, because I'm still having dreams about work and stuff. And, you know, and a lot of it probably would go away if I did get some compensation or help from this police department. And not to mention, and this is the kicker right here, if you slip on a banana peel the wrong way as a police officer, you make the paper. I never made the paper. They never put me in the paper, because they know they did something wrong.
Yep.
They never put me. I'm the only one in that police department that's never made the paper that has done something wrong.
So, elaborate on that. When you say makes the paper, is that
I got in trouble for drinking, so they didn't put me in the paper for that.
So, but when you say they didn't put you in paper, I guess what I'm trying to say is it sounds like it's not about the journalists, it's about the Worcester Police Department kind of handing you over, is what it sounds like.
Well, yeah. You've read the paper of cops like ODing on something, or
Yeah, it's usually a big deal.
yeah, it's a big deal. Like, they never put me in the paper, and they made it sound like, well, you should be lucky. I go, no, I want everybody to know what you guys did to me, and they didn't want anybody to know what they did to me. That's kind of what I'm getting at there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I never saw my name in the paper. Not that I wanted attention, but I did kind of want people to know what these people did to me.
The story.
Yeah, the story.
No,
That's why I went to that journalist to have my article made, because people need to know what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's because, like we talked about earlier, if it's happening to you, it's happening to others, and they're not able to talk about it. So I guess that's a good segue. What kinds of things did you experience that you think it's likely people working for the Worcester Police Department are still experiencing? And I know that's subjective because they're
what they're experiencing. I would say neglect. Not all. Neglect. No respect. The officials can pretty much do and say whatever they want to you, and you go to the union, and the union don't do anything about it. I mean, you're gonna go to the union and say, hey, he's calling me names, or you're gonna look like a little baby. You know what I mean? They're gonna be like, oh, get over it. Just how it is with that union. That union was never like that before. But I mean, I don't know how it is now, because I know they got a new guy in there. But I mean, I know how it was when I was on, and it was not good.
So they would shame you rather than support you when you.
Well, I wouldn't say they would shame me, but you could see it. You know what I mean? They wouldn't just, they wouldn't like say get over it, but they would in some different way. You know what I mean? They would sidetrack you and be like, well, you know what? Don't ignore him. That kind of stuff. You know, like, how are you gonna ignore a guy that's mistreating you? You can't, especially when you're a police officer.
And so that was similar to my experience I was within my 90 days, so effectively they could do whatever they wanted as far as termination goes in the post office. But I did try to talk to my union, and it was a violation of my Weingarten rights to have that conversation with me without my representation when I asked for it. But even though they could legally terminate me, apparently they still didn't. Anyways, whatever. The union didn't really care because. They wouldn't have any, because I was within my first 90 days, they couldn't do anything that would effectively represent me.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
So they were like, yeah, whatever, we're not going to be able to do anything. So my experience with the union effectively was that this systematically identified how far I could be taken advantage of. And if I was willing and regularly, like, I felt they were like lawyers, and then my supervisors were police, was honestly how it felt.
Yeah.
But they weren't actually helpful because the supervisors knew where that line was and towed the ever living shit out of it because they knew, like, I don't know. Yeah. So in other words, the union doesn't really help if it doesn't actually do their job, and it sounds like they weren't for you at all.
Yeah. Well, they're in cahoots with the city anyway, so
I've seen it, and it's very prominent in local politics. Like, you can tell that there are people who are running, and like the only actual support they have, which is still terrifyingly sufficient to win, is the police union.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. You'd think that you could stand, the union would stand by you, but they do. They play a good act. They'll do that. But like, for instance, they had done my 10-year letter, and the union lawyer did an excellent job at writing the 10-year letter up, and the only problem is that the city redacted it and took off all the stuff that had anything to do with the military, because they didn't want to make it look like they were picking on somebody in the military. They redacted the whole thing, and it's all in red. I got all the paperwork at home.
So when was this? And the reason I asked
that one was I got in trouble. That was 2012, I believe.
So
I think it was 2000.
There was an issue that the Telegram sued the police department over withholding. They tried to that's a well-known tactic from the police department in the city to over-redact police files constructively.
Yeah.
And they got sued for that by the Telegram and had to pay, I think, just Telegram, like, pay the lawyer fees. which was anyway. So that's a known tactic.
Yeah, because if you looked at the paperwork, I don't have it with me, of course, it's at home. But
Yeah.
if you looked at the paperwork, you'll see the one that they submitted for me to go back to work, and you'll see the one before it was submitted, and you'll see nothing but red all over the place, and all of it's got something to do with the military. They didn't want nothing in there about the military whatsoever. That I did my tours, and that I did this many years, and that I had no issues or problems with in the military, and all that got redacted. They took it all out, and the union lawyer should have fought for that.
Yes.
That's why you have a union lawyer.
Yes.
That should have been fought. They should have said, hey, this needs to be submitted.
So that's kind of, so it sounds like they took their opportunity. That's what when I got fired for they cited performance issues and whatnot. They didn't say it's because I called out sick, but they what I realized is what they're doing is because once I'm past that 90 days, it is very difficult to fire me. They systematically make sure that they enforce compliance by making. But so I guess what I'm trying to say is they fired you because they had an opportunity to do so with that. They in a way they can't justify, but they could document with paper.
Yeah.
And that's what they tried to do.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the redaction. Like what they're trying to do is cover their own ass.
Right. Now I'm not. You're right. You're absolutely right. But I'm not saying what I did was right. I mean, it was more so of a cry for help, and I thought that was what was going to happen. I'm not saying that. No, but I'm just saying. I mean, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that me drinking as bad as I was okay. It wasn't okay. That's why I needed help, and it was due to the PTSD. They're trying to make it look like I'm this huge, gigantic alcoholic rolling around in the streets, drinking hard whiskey and booze and throwing bottles against the wall. You know what I mean? That's not the case. That's what they're making it look like.
I mean, it's not funny, but
no, it is kind of funny, but the way I'm saying it. But it's like
because this is what police do. Like when you look at police reports, like they only include the things they can use to prosecute you. In the same way, they're only including the information. They're forcing you to say, hey, wait a second, you included 2/10 of the information, because it is not their job to include that other 8.
Right, I got you. All right, now I understand. Yeah, I know what you mean. Right, yes.
So it's like, but that is unfortunately the way. I'm not justifying any of this, but that what I'm saying is I see that everywhere else, in court systems, in city fucking council, and everywhere, shit is omitted. And they force, effectively rights only exist if they're actually exercised, which, like you said, is the whole point of the union here.
Right.
But I wanted to, before they submitted the standing out, I lost my track. There was something you said during that I wanted to address.
I was talking about rolling around on the ground and drinking whiskey.
No. The recovery, the cry for help. So you're right. Alcoholism is a whole set. So I mean, it's worth. What it comes down to is like alcohol. If you had anything close to like a DUI, you couldn't be a licensed. You'd be a prohibited person. So like there's alcohol and drug abuse is something I'm fine with having lines about. But that being said, they need to foster an environment where people can seek support. Where like someone can, like, if a police officer checks themselves into a psych ward or any form of medical center for weeks or even months, what it comes down to is like that is way better than the alternative. And I don't know, I'm all for public safety, but also like if we don't like the problem here is that you couldn't talk to anyone, you couldn't actually seek help, you couldn't do something about this without it reflecting negatively on you.
Right.
They treated you that way over a physical injury that was very clearly their fault. How are they going to treat you when it's something that you have to prove, like PTSD? Like it's a yeah.
Well, another thing too that I left out is I went to the forum to speak, and it was about PTSD and veterans, and I spoke at the podium, and I said, hey, look, what are you guys going to do about veterans that need help, that are police officers? You got more and more people in the military these days than you ever did, and now if they got a problem, what are you going to do for them? Now I guess they have a program at the police department for people that are veterans. Well, where was that program when I was there? I can't be grandfathered in and be helped?
And more importantly, isn't the existence of that program acknowledging the validity of your circumstances?
Yes.
So they have a problem specifically for your circumstances, but they're telling you that this is all your fault.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's my fault now they have a program.
Yeah. Well, that's shameful. Okay. Have you heard anything about the program? Do you think it's...
No, I really didn't, because I only talk to the guys. I try not to talk about work when I see the guys.
Yep, makes sense.
You know what I mean? I don't want to bring up bad burdens or anything, you know. Every time I see one of the guys out, like I call some of them sometimes and talk to them, but I don't want to talk about shop, you know. I you know what I'm saying? They don't need to hear that crap. And
yeah, it's dragging up like unnecessary conflict.
Yeah, right. I just, you know, like I said, I'm not that kind of guy that's calling up and saying, "Oh, guess what?" I mean, you know, it is what it is. I'll talk to other people about it, but not my police buddies. I don't bring any of that up.
No, that makes sense. So, what other supports do you think they could have offered you? Like if other than, you know, letting you actually seek support on your own and not, I don't know. It sounds like they were actually harmful more than, yeah.
I know what you're getting at, but the problem was when I first should have gotten help, the way I was treated was ridiculous. And when I first should have got help, instead I got in trouble. They got me in trouble. Well, I got myself in trouble, but they didn't help me. What ended up happening was the whole department knew about it, and I was embarrassed, and every time I went to work, it was just shocking, you know, like I knew they were talking behind my back. In fact, we went to an in-service training, and we had to lift like some weights. It's just part of our requirement. And I did. I lifted a weight, whatever, and I was done. And one of the guys said out loud in front of everybody, "Hey, maybe you should stop drinking." That's not a cool thing to say to somebody, man. And
right.
And I said, "Well, I lifted it, didn't I?" But he said it in front of everybody, so
right.
Like it wasn't a big secret. I knew everybody knew about it, and it was just embarrassing, you know.
Yeah.
And if it was anybody else that happened to, they wouldn't have sent them to the city. They sent me right to the city. They had a guy come and P-test me because they were looking for drugs. They thought I was on drugs, and I never did a drug in my life. It was just alcohol.
So, in other words, some level of department intervention rather than, you know, instead of spreading rumors about you, they could have actually given you.
Yeah.
So if they enforced your privacy.
It wasn't all, though. I mean, just a few, you know. But like, it's still embarrassing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I used to always have the guys come out, "Hey, Jerry, how you doing, man? You all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm hanging in there." It's one of the other reasons why I got off the road too. It was just like too stressful. And then I go inside only to be mistreated by my lieutenant. That was just, I couldn't win. I couldn't win.
Yep. Yeah. No. That's just going to be miserable again.
That's what it was. It was miserable. And it's too bad too, because I miss a lot of those guys and girls. There's some of the best people I've ever met in my life are in that department. Same thing with the military. Some of the best men and women I have ever met are in the military. I miss all them too. I would love to go back. I go back right now if I could.
What do you love about the military other than the people?
The camaraderie, you know, your brothers and sisters. The job. Yep. I loved my job. I loved being a boss.
Okay.
I loved taking care of my guys, my girls. You know, I used to love taking care of them. When my last tour, I was a boss. I was a supervisor, and there ain't one person that was under my wing that would have anything bad to say about me. I made sure those guys and girls were taken care of that were under my wing.
So you made sure that people weren't treated the way you were treated.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm not one of those people that like, "Oh, well, since I was treated badly, I'm going to treat you badly." I was never like that.
There's two types of ideologies that reach that way. I've realized one is that, which is you know, needing to put others down, but there's like sometimes it's a survival thing, which is of course under capitalism, but it's a people feel like people effectively recognize that it's easier to step on others to get things than to work with others. And there's a point where, you know, people do that and then they have enough to survive and they're like, wait a second, now I can help everyone. And like it's an ideology change. And I don't know, I guess what I'm trying to say is it is great that you create a healthier environment than the one you're trying to not be in.
Yeah. Well, I used to funny because my boss, I used to because how I was sometimes with the guys and then doing a job, because I used to do my jobs a certain way, but they used to always get done. So he used to kind of gripe at me. Not bad, but he used to gripe at me, and I'd be like, I'll tell you what, you ask any one of those guys or girls out there who wants to work with me, and they're all going to jump up at once. I go, because they know I know how to run a team, you know? That's just, and that's what sucked, too, because when I came back home after running my own team, as well as I did, I came back and was being mistreated again. Like, it's just, I couldn't win.
Oh, I absolutely. So no, that I do resonate with that, because like when I worked for the post office, like I said, last year. So like I've gone from, so like I'm self-employed, or I was self-employed. I'm a landlord. I regularly go back and forth with some of the most powerful people in the city, and then I had a supervisor who criticized the amount of mail I was delivering, and like the I don't know, the difference in like respect and you know, I don't know, it's just such an adjustment. So I can't imagine going from taking care of everyone and being responsible and doing a good job to going into a situation where everyone's like, you know, a little bit mean, a little bit distrusting, and also disrespectful. It's just, that sounds shocking, like you said.
Yeah, no, it is a shock to the system. Trust me.
And
There hasn't been a day that goes by that I haven't thought about all the crap that I've gone through in there. And it's not a day. That's why, like, sometimes I'll have a good night and I will have some sleep and I don't have any dreams about that. But then there's those days, man, when I have them, and it sucks. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it sucks. It's not fun, you know. And it's especially when you're a decent person. Like, I mean, I don't wish harm upon anyone. You know, but don't get me wrong. I mean, I know how to defend myself, but like, I don't wish harm upon anyone. I don't, you know.
Yeah, but it's also like there's a level of, I don't know, this you got systematically screwed over while trying to help people, for trying to take care of yourself in the process.
Right.
Yeah. So it's entirely okay if you aren't, but are you open to talking at all about the DOJ investigation? I know the investigation was after you.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it. It's not that I don't feel, I feel uncomfortable. I'd say I don't know much about what's going on with that.
Well, so
I'm not much of a news guy, you know. I don't really keep up with that stuff.
So effectively, it was the Department of Justice determined that Worcester and its police department has systematically, that wasn't the word they used, but has a pattern of practice. I'm not, whatever, has a pattern of violating the Constitution, of violating people's rights. And with the police department, it was two different things. One, there was racism.
Well, just to let you know, I have an ongoing case right now, but I really can't talk about it. I have to wait till it's over with. So I would love to talk to you more about that, but I got to be careful with that.
Yeah,
one.
No, that makes sense.
But that doesn't mean I won't get to you after my case is over.
Yeah,
so
we can do a different interview specifically about that then.
Yeah.
I mostly, it sounds like there has been a culture of cops supporting each other in harmful acts in Worcester.
Yeah.
And I do say all cops are bad, but I understand that good people become cops.
Yes, right.
So like I can reconcile.
I do. I'll be honest with you. I've never witnessed it, but I have heard about it. You know, I mean, but those are things that like other police officers wouldn't get involved with because they don't want to be involved with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I know people do think that because one's corrupt, they're all corrupt, but it's not really like that. Like I said, some of the best men and women I've ever met are on that job. Now, have any of them done anything bad? Not that I know of, but is it possible? Absolutely. I would not argue that, yes.
That makes sense.
Yes, and like I said, I do know of some cases, of some things that have happened, and like, you know, like but individually, like, you know, one knucklehead waving his gun out the window, nothing happened with that, you know, like that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, another knucklehead gets into a car chase from his own guys and gets pulled over in another town. I know about that, you know, like, but, you know, it's like, I understand, I get it, man. I mean, but if that was me or you...
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? And that was one of the things I was trying to explain to you earlier, that, like, you know, with my issue, if I was somebody else, somebody's relative or, you know, somebody's best friend, do you think that would have happened to me? No.
Yes.
They would have just said, they would have just said, hey, take a nap and sleep it off, or maybe get me help. Like it seemed like I had to get my own help.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes.
So I know exactly where you're coming from. I really do. I'm not knocking you on it. It's just it's tough because I've never really witnessed it.
No, that's fine, and that's good. But also that, I don't think it's like they're all corrupt. I just conceptually, like, I know that people are assigned together. So I guess what I'm saying is I assume that for one cop to do something bad, it requires another one to
back them up or something like that.
Yeah, well, to either turn a blind eye or lie for them, or I don't know. I just assume that this is all in partnerships. So, but either way, I that's good to hear, and also does kind of create a general, like, I don't know, you were a cop for 14 years and you did not witness it yourself. That means it's like not as prevalent as some people think.
Yeah, right.
But also, it's also good to acknowledge that, like, what people do when they're not around you is entirely different.
Yeah.
The favoritism is, of course, scary and
yeah, the favoritism is definitely that's without a doubt, that's there. That's never gonna go away. That's for sure. But still, people like to be treated equally. You know what I mean? So on the side of the fence of you're talking, that's one thing on a public standpoint, and I get it. But a lot of people don't understand. There's a lot of stuff happening on the inside too that where you're not getting any help, and I'm a prime example of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have great friends that are on the job, but they didn't have the ability to help me. You know what I mean? They were just friends, like we hung out, whatever, we'd go out and hang out somewhere, or it was never like, hey, let me put you under my wing, and that, because they were patrolmen like me. It wasn't, there was some officials that really liked me, but it was just, you'd have to be there to understand 100% of, because a lot of them don't want to be involved. Even though they like you, they don't want to be involved, And in some respects, I don't blame them, because they don't want to get a bad rep if they think they're gonna, well, especially with that place.
Yeah.
That place is, I'm telling you that, I don't know any other place, but this place here, I sometimes wish I never even joined, because now I know a lot of the insides, and I don't like it. I just really, it disappointed me when I got on. It really did. I thought I was going to be going to birthday parties, going to christenings, and it was going to be this big brotherhood. I was wrong. So, and it hurts.
Yeah, I think a lot of people join for the camaraderie and the support and the societal respect, and it's so. What was when you joined? What was your experience then with the?
When I first joined, it was the best thing in the world. Oh my God, I was like, this is the shit. I mean, what other better job is there? Then as years went by, like years and years, and you start to realize, and your eyes start to open, and you see different things going on, and you hear different things, and you're like, that's really happening here? Like, such and such is going with such and such's girlfriend, or somebody slept with somebody's wife, and all this bad stuff is happening, and you're like, and nothing's being done about it. Nothing. Yeah. I mean, and they say we're paramilitary. That's a crock. If we were paramilitary, it'd be a lot different than that.
Right. There might actually be accountability.
Yeah, there would be accountability. What do they? The only thing that's close to military is a roll call when they take your attendance to make sure you're there, and then you get your cruiser and you go out on the road. That's the only paramilitary I see.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. I used to always get sick and tired of hearing that, because I am military. You're not going to get any more military than me. I've been in for 23 years, and I did my tours. And I hear that, and it's insulting. It's insulting because it's not paramilitary.
Yeah, no, that's...
I know of guys that are on that job that have slept with other brothers' girlfriends and stuff. Not cool.
No, that's not supportive. That's
no.
Not that creates a pretty toxic work environment.
And one guy actually punched another guy, but because he was higher ranking, he got in trouble for it.
Wait, what?
Yeah. A high-ranking guy slept with a low-ranking guy's wife.
Okay.
The low-ranking guy found out about it and punched the higher-ranking guy in the face. He got in trouble for it.
For the punch.
For the punch.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Not for the other guy, not for the sexual thing, just for the punch.
Right. Yeah, okay.
As far as I'm concerned, he should have whacked him in the head with a damn hammer. Not that I want violence, but, my God,
it sounds like there's a lot of there's not a ton of respect, even if there is camaraderie.
And they were friends.
Oh wow. I mean, at that level, it's I don't know. Cheating's often more of a control thing than like.
Yeah, but it just like it's not supposed to happen.
No, it really isn't.
That man should have been deranked because that's what they do in the military. You do loss of pay for 6 months and you get deranked. They did it. I know they did it to a guy, a buddy of mine that I know. He wasn't from my unit. He was from another unit, and I was talking to him about it. And he said, yeah, that guy, he slept with my wife, and they 6 months loss of pay, and they deranked him down to like real low. They ranked him down low.
I mean, so deranking is probably so. I just went to the post commission thing, and I learned about the certification, which I guess since that's been over the past 3 years was after you retired. But they effectively, because the police departments don't actually fire problematic people, they've started adding a certification instead. So you have to be certified to respect people's rights.
Right.
And then you can get decertified. And I've realized this does sound really great and is an improvement. The reason this exists is because they know that cops who should be fired are not going to be fired.
Right.
And so I guess, how do you feel about the fact that there are you know that there's people who have done things that like you were self-harmful. You've acknowledged your own. I guess what I'm trying to say is there's people who have done way worse things than what you've done who are still working for the police.
Right.
And what do you think about that, really?
I don't think that they should be there if they got rid of me. I don't think they should be there. Or at least, I mean, depending upon what they did wrong, get some help. But a lot of it hasn't had anything to do really with drugs. Maybe a little drinking or something like that. But some of the stuff is... The drinking should be overlooked compared to what they've done. You know what I mean? Like, then if that was the case, they don't need help. They need to be reprimanded.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like, I don't know, I mean, like, there are forms of reprimand, but it sounds like the union mitigates that and functions as, like, a buffer.
They do that 10-year letter. That doesn't do anything for anyone.
So what is the 10-year letter?
It's a 10-year note. What it is basically if you do something wrong, you got to sign, in order to come back to work, you got to sign this 10-year thing. So it hangs over your head for 10 years. So if you do something wrong, I think typically it has to be the same thing. If you do the same thing wrong after 10 years, within 10 years, you lose your job.
Okay.
And then I don't know if it's something that you do outside of that, if it's okay. Or what have you, or they just add it to the 10-year note. I'm not sure. I don't know how that goes.
Okay, but that's still fascinating. So it's effectively like you're on probation.
Yeah, for 10 years. Yeah.
Okay. What kinds of things get you a 10-year note?
Well, drinking would be one. Probably drugs, but the drugs. One guy ended up getting into a lot of trouble with drugs, so he ended up getting fired. I don't know. OUIs. What else would there be?
If someone
fighting probably, like that guy to punch that guy.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I think it's just limited. I don't think it's as much as you would think. You can't just go out and take on the world, and think that you're only going to get a 10-year note. You know what I mean? You can get in trouble and lose your job for a lot of different things, but usually the drinking. I would say fighting if you just hit somebody else. Trying to think of another. Domestics.
Okay.
Yeah, domesticated situations. You can get a 10-year note for that.
So, do you know other people who got 10-year notes?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know people who should have gotten 10-year notes but didn't?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. What do you think was different in those situations? Was it the people?
Because who he was related to and how he was protected.
Okay, but and there have been people who had similar drinking and/or drug issues or things that 100% should have been.
You have to gotten 10-year letter.
So in other words, you got discriminated against because of your mental health.
Yes, yeah. That's the best way to put it, really.
Yeah, I mean, like it's they're treating other people differently, but because they had an excuse to can you, they did.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
And I tried, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say I tried getting a lawyer, but like I told you, I already told you that story, so that was tough.
Yeah, no, getting a lawyer is a complicated process. Even, I mean, you also have the additional complication of you need to find a lawyer willing to go up against the Worcester Police Department.
Yeah.
Which is difficult.
Yes.
What I was going to ask is, setting aside the lawsuit, what is your ideal outcome? Like, if people heard this, and what would you like them to know? Not just from your experience, but from your insight on the experience.
Well, basically that, when not all of us are given a not silver spoon, I wouldn't even know the word to look for, but not all of us are given, a pass. That's the word I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. Not all of us are given a pass, I mean, there are lots of good people that are on that job that get mistreated, and there are a lot of bad people on there that get treated good, and it's just not fair to others. That's all.
Okay. Why would you say that the good people who get mistreated stay?
Stay because they need a job.
Yeah.
That would be the best answer for that one.
No,
they need a job.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, because some people, they just take it, and like for instance, when I was on, I would just go in, get my stuff, and leave. I just didn't even want to be in that building. I didn't want to really be around anybody. And it got to a point where even my good friends, they'd be like, "Hey, Jerry," because we would meet up from time to time just to say hi and get a coffee or something. And they're like, "Jerry, you don't even come around anymore." I go, I know, I'm just, busy and whatever. I just come up with something. And it was bad. It was sad, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, that's great to okay. Is there anything else you want to I guess other than lawyer recommendations and people speaking out about their own truth, how could anyone support you in this struggle?
Oh man, I've tried several times with my counselor and the counselor on site, and there's not much he can really do for me, so that's about it, man. I mean,
no, that's just sad but accurate. Unfortunately, it's.
And I'm not talking. John could only do so much too. He's a good guy, man. It is what it is. I've talked to other people, and and I got some advice, and I've looked into it. I mean, it's tiresome, but I'm not giving up. This is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere, even though it's been as long as it has. It is not going anywhere. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up.
Good. No, that's fantastic to hear. Yeah, depression and PTSD are like, I don't know. It's I recently got PTSD, and it's not funny, but like I've been through a bunch and a lot of different weird things, and frankly, probably none of the shit you're describing. But yeah. I have things in my past that would be legitimate to have PTSD from, and I didn't until November of last year, and but I have a strong framework on mental health, and so I'm aware of all of the symptoms as I'm experiencing it, but that doesn't make them any less. It doesn't.
No, not at all. Yeah, not at all.
And but it's been that you said it's tiresome, and I think that's. When I've taken a few systemic racism classes, and to learn about how the impact and the effect, and breaking it down, and one of the important things that is not often addressed is the emotional toll of being in a society that where where some people hate you for existing, and
yeah.
the mental health aspect, like there are physical and mental health aspects of ways it physically wears you down over time, and depression and PTSD and to some extent anxiety is similar. It affects your physical health, it affects your mental health, like everything else compounds, and over time it's just exhausting.
Yeah.
The amount of energy you don't have for anything else. So yeah, I'm glad to hear you're not going to give up. I'm also glad to hear you are suing, even though that's still a process and a fucking half.
Yes, it is.
It's important to happen, and also does follow through on a paper trail, which is absolutely necessary, and hopefully paves the way for people to not have to do the exact same shit in the future. That when they go through what you have.
Like you said before, I mean, I hope this does encourage somebody to come forward, because the more people that we get, the maybe something can be done. You know, I mean, who knows? I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, every day that goes by, like I said, I still can't. I say to myself, I can't believe this has happened to me. I can't. I just can't. It doesn't make sense. I'm here. I mean, I served my country. I did my job. I served my city people. And these people that are doing everything wrong, that are still on that job, not everybody, but a good few, you know, they're still there and they haven't done anything for anybody but themselves. And it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And the city not even helping me, you know. They were more quick to get rid of me than they were to help me. And they're saying that they would have helped me. They had all the way till July to help me. And they fired me the day after my program that I put myself in.
Yeah, that's bullshit and reinforces all of the problems. Like, anyone in your situation before you went in who needed help and should get help now knows that if they get help, they will lose their job.
Yeah.
Like that is the opposite.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Yep. Okay. Thank you so much for talking.
No, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. That's